Hey, it's Jazz here from thebassmastermind.com, and today I'm really excited for you to watch this video because what you're about to watch is a 7-day technique challenge, and this is specifically designed for bass guitarists. So this is actually a full course that used to be inside thebassmastermind.com. Now, this course is perfect for you if you're a beginner bassist looking to improve your technique so you can play your favorite songs or favorite bass lines on the bass guitar, or if you're an intermediate bass player and you're looking to brush up on your skills and develop more, say, finger independence and more speed on the bass guitar. So in the past, this course has actually sold for $97, but as we're coming up to Christmas, I'm going to give you all 7 videos, the whole course, for free on this YouTube channel. You can think of this as your 2021 Christmas present from me. And now all I ask in return is that you subscribe to this channel and then make sure your notifications are turned on, as I'll be releasing a lot more exciting things like this in the future. And of course, if I post any more courses, I don't want you to miss out. So make sure to watch the videos in order from day 1 to day 7. And when you watch this course, in the videos, I'll actually be talking about the 7-day technique challenge workbook. This is a PDF, and inside the workbook PDF, there is a place that you can make notes, but more importantly, there is a technique checklist which summarizes the entire course in just 3 pages. So you can download and print off this checklist as a PDF and then maybe put it on your wall or something and then refer back to it in the future. The workbook is completely free, and it's actually inside my free Facebook group for bass players. So to get access to the technique checklist and workbook, and also there's some other free courses on this Facebook group, just like this one, click the link below to join the Facebook group, and you can become part of the Bassmaster community. In this community, there are free bass lessons, courses, transcriptions, PDFs, tabs, drum loops, and obviously a community of like-minded bass players from around the world. And this group is a perfect place to ask questions if you ever feel stuck in your bass playing. So before you watch today's lesson, click the link below to become part of the Bassmaster community so you can download the workbook and the technique checklist. And then you can come back to this video. So with all of that being said, let's jump into today's lesson. Welcome, it's Jazz here from thebassmastermind.com. So you're probably watching this because you want to be able to pick up the bass guitar, play your favorite songs, but your technique might be holding you back. Well, by the end of this 7-day challenge, you'll know the exact exercises you can use to take your bass guitar technique to that next level. So today is day 1 of 7, and today is called Technique Fundamentals. So here's what we're going to cover in today's lesson. We're going to cover your action plan for the next 7 days. We're going to learn how you can implement what you learn from this course and from the lessons. Maybe you're consuming loads of information on YouTube, but you're never actually applying it to the bass guitar. Well, the reason why I created this course is so you can actually learn something and then you can go and apply it and implement it into your practice routine. We'll look at the technique fundamentals for beginners, but this is also going to apply to intermediate bass players that might have some technical issues when it comes to the right hand or left hand, especially if you want to avoid injury as well. At the end of this video, I'll show you how you can download the 7-day technique challenge workbook. Inside the workbook is also a technique checklist as well. So everything that I'm going to cover in these 7 videos is going to be bullet pointed into like a checklist that you can find at the back of the workbook, which is super cool. So you can download, print that off, and then you can kind of tick them off as you go through them, you know, making sure everything as far as like technique wise, like on the bass guitar, is correct. So before we talk about bass guitar technique, we need to talk about why it's important. Why should you work on your technique? Well, having bad bass guitar technique is like driving a car with flat tires. Technique affects pretty much all aspects of playing bass, even when you think about things like groove and time fill. It's not just about playing loads of notes over the fingerboard. Technique can just be It can be simple grooves, it can be more complex things, but technique really affects all aspects of playing bass. And as we already know, the goal with any instrument is to be able to execute what you hear in your head. So if you're hearing a bass line, if you're trying to transcribe something, the idea with technique is that you'll be able to actually execute that. So being able to hear something and then being able to execute it on your bass. And part of that, as well as ear training, is to do a technique. And this is exactly why I designed this little mini course or this 7-day challenge for you. So by the end of this challenge, our goal is for you to be able to master the fundamental techniques of the bass guitar. Of course, this is a lifelong process and I'm constantly working on my technique up to this day. But this 7-day challenge is a great start to really kickstarting the fundamentals and the basics of having a really solid technique. So today is the beginning of your 7-day action plan. And the difference between this and say just a YouTube video is that I don't want you to just watch the video and then go to the next one. I want you to take what you learn and then actually implement it into your practice routine. And this is why at the end of every single lesson or every single day, there will be what's called a bass master mission. You can think of this as kind of like homework, but I think bass master mission sounds a bit cooler, right? So a bass master mission is essentially homework. So once you've learned something, I will give you a mission to complete before you go to the next lesson. So watch the video, complete the mission, and then you go to the next day or the next lesson. So today we're going to just do the fundamentals. We're going to start with the basics, and then tomorrow we're going to look at more deep dive into like the right hand technique and left hand technique. So let's just start with the basics for today, and that starts with really how are you sitting and how are you holding the actual bass. So I've got my bass here. As you can see, I've got another camera set up so you can kind of see exactly what I'm doing in my left and right hand. And like I said, these technique fundamentals really do cover everything from, some of them might be kind of beginner concepts, but it might also help you intermediate bass players as well. So first of all, I want you to put the bass on and adjust the strap height so it's in the same position sitting down and standing up. So you can see here, my bass is just rested on my right leg. If I'm honest, if I take my hands away like this, the strap is taking most of the weight. So just keep that in mind, that the strap will be taking most of the weight. If I move around or if I stand up, the strap will actually, and the bass will be in the same position. It's not going to move too much. So when I'm sitting down or standing up, I've got the bass in the same position. The next thing I want you to keep in mind as far as technique is just, you see I've got the bass here. I just want you to get this hand and push the headstock away from you. So you can see I'm pushing the headstock away from my body, and here is probably the position I would play in. So I'm not playing with the bass like this, I'm playing with the headstock pushed away from me. And the reason why we do this is just so your left arm can comfortably reach all the frets. So you can see my left arm is nice and loose, nice and relaxed, and it's very comfortable, and I can reach all the notes on the bass. If it was like this, I wouldn't be able to kind of play, and I'll be all like kind of hunched up. So you want to keep it nice and relaxed and push the headstock away from you. As a general rule as well, from your back to your hands and your arms, you kind of just want to keep everything nice and relaxed. And you can see here I'm kind of sitting up straight. I'm not kind of bent over like this. I'm not kind of leaning back, because that's definitely going to cause injury. And the only other thing that I want you to keep in mind for today is to lift that bass neck up. So you can see I haven't got the bass neck down here, because then what will happen is I'll get this bent left wrist when I come to play. So all I've done is pushed it away and then lift it up a bit. And how I like to think of the like how far to lift the bass neck up is it's just below eye level. So I've got my eye level here, and then I've got my bass, and the headstock is just below eye level, and that's kind of where I like to play it. I know there are players that play like this, and then there's the Mark King thing where he's like this, but as a general rule, and to be able to play a lot of styles from slap to palm muting to just fingerstyle, I like to push the bend neck away and then tilt the neck up. So remember I talked about that Bass Master mission? Well, today's Bass Master mission is to download and print off the 7-day technique challenge workbook. In this workbook, you can make notes as you go through this challenge, and inside the workbook, you'll also find the technique checklist. And this is so you can refer back to some of the techniques that I cover in this challenge in the future. So here's the 3 steps to how this challenge works. So first you watch a lesson like today's video, and then you make notes. So once you print off the worksheet, you can make notes. We've got day 1 here, so you can make notes on, okay, say it's like pushing out the headstock and then lifting up the neck. And then the third thing is once you've completed the Basemaster mission, so today's Basemaster mission is super simple, you just need to print off that workbook. But once you've done that, make sure to tick Basemaster mission complete at the bottom of the worksheet, and once you've done that, then you can move on to the next video. So that's how this 7-day challenge works. So download and print off the technique workbook, and I will see you in the next lesson. So I hope you enjoyed that lesson, and before you go, just make sure to click the link below to join my free Facebook group for bass players, where you can download the Technique Challenge workbook and technique checklist, just so you can get the most out of this course. In the Bassmaster community, there are loads of free bass lessons, courses, transcriptions, PDFs, tabs, drum loops, and obviously the community of like-minded bass players from around the world. And if you click here, it will take you to the next lesson in this series.